Thank you so much for joining Conversations with Cohen. I'm your host, Greg Cohen, Office Leasing Specialist at Presto. And this podcast is for office tenants to help educate them about all things regarding their office space, from leasing to architecture and everything in between. Whether you're an entrepreneur thinking about your first office or a director of real estate managing a large real estate portfolio, this podcast is for you. I've got a really interesting show for you today. My guest is Rich Colucci of Distinctive Offices. We're going to be talking about the current office market in New York City and the two biggest trends we are currently seeing, subleasing and renewals. Regarding subleasing, more and more space is coming available every day, and for tenants looking to sublease their space, it's highly competitive. So we'll learn what you can do to make yours more marketable and attractive to ultimately get sublet faster. And if you're renewing, you are in many cases entitled to some refresh space, so we'll talk you through what you can do. If you want to reach me, I'm at Greg Cohen NYC on Instagram. And if you're new to this video series or podcast, hit the subscribe button below so you never miss a future episode. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Rich. If you don't know him, he's the CEO of Distinctive Offices, which he started over 20 years ago. They renovate offices to enable companies to have space like new without the costs of moving, then wiring, furnishing new space, and then all the address documentation changes. He's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all things office interiors, and he's been a massive resource for my clients, which is how we became fast friends. Speaking of Distinctive's clients, it's important to note companies like Soros, Tidal Vest, and Houlihan Lokey are some, to name a few. Rich, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Rich, I'm really excited to have you on today because I keep getting questions of what's the market like if I want to sublease my space. After all, 1 million square feet of space has come online in the last 30 days, and that's about double the amount on a monthly basis. So how do you help companies?
Great point, great question. And the way we're able to help with this sublease market is really to help stage their space. You know, it's a beauty contest. When a tenant or potential tenant looks at a space, they need a little help with vision. A lot of sublease space, when you go look at it, looks kind of like people moved out in the middle of the night. Furniture is thrown all over the place. Chairs are all sitting in the middle of a room. Garbage cans are on the floor, on top of a desk. And unfortunately, usually the pantry is not the cleanest environment. We get brought in. We come in to refresh the paint. It's amazing what a fresh coat of paint will do to a space. The smell, the cleanliness feeling, and not seeing all the marks on the doors and walls as people banged in. They might have been in a space for a lot of years before they moved out. And when they move out, they're damaging the walls. Many times we replace the carpeting because, again, it's a nice, in a big scheme, it's an inexpensive way to give a fresh feel to when a potential tenant walks in. And it's all about trying to lease the space quicker than the next guy. You want to get out of that as quick as possible. So those are two big things that we do. But what we add to that is deep cleaning when we're done, staging of the space. We come in, we realign furniture, we make sure that it looks like somebody is working in the office when a broker like yourself walks through with a tenant, which we found is much easier for the potential tenant to feel like they could work in that space, as opposed to just furniture, as I said, thrown all over the place, a musty smell because maybe the office has been locked up for a little while. We even go as far as renting furniture with some of our clients in, say, areas like the reception area or conference room, just to show that it looks clean and nice and people can envision themselves there. We do try to take down signage and plug up holes so that you don't see another company's logo. The other area that we spend a lot of our time in is in the pantry. We refresh the pantries. It could be as simple as painting cabinet doors. A lot of people don't realize that you could do that, but Many of the plastic laminate doors can be painted, and it gives it again a nice fresh pop. If fixing a door that's broken, fixing a drawer that's broken, and as simple as cleaning the refrigerator makes a big difference, because your prospective tenants do look at those things.
And what we do know is that that the pace at which sublease spaces coming online is only increasing by the week. So I think it's even more important now that it's priced well and that it's moved and put on the market fast to be able to find whatever tenant is out there that is looking for space. So putting it in as move-in ready, turnkey ready as possible, plug and play is crucial. Now the other part of the market that we're seeing a big trend in is renewals. I think that's a function of people don't necessarily have a lot of visibility about the long term, so it's easier for them to just renew, nor can they really access other spaces, look in the market right now, or can they envision themselves taking on the big project. So how do you help with renewals?
Well, that is our forte. We specialize in renewals of office leases as far as the refreshing. We call ourselves the experts in refreshing occupied office space. Again, it's primarily the cosmetics, changing out carpeting, repainting, changing light fixtures, adding, some cosmetic touches, redoing pantries, whether it's with wrapping cabinetry with a vinyl product that we represent, or changing doors, or pulling out the actual cabinets and putting new. It's a nice impact area that is not really cost prohibitive. We handle everything for the tenant to make their life as easy as possible, from moving all contents to handling their furniture. We will move their IT equipment. We try not to disconnect it. We like their IT people do that, but if they need that, we can offer that service. And most of the work that we do in the occupied space is done over weekends. So we'll come in on a Friday early afternoon, and we start moving furniture, demolishing the existing carpeting, and then we paint through the night. Put new carpet in the next day, put furniture back. On Sunday, we come in, we clean the area that we worked in. So our goal is not to disrupt the client more than that one time. It really works out if someone closed their eyes and thought about it. They leave a box with their personal belongings on their desk on Friday when they go home. They come in on Monday, that box is on their desk again. The only difference is that they have new paint, new carpet, and a fresh area. We don't do a 45,000 square foot floor in one weekend. We do it in phases, but the area that we start, where we focus on finishing that 100% for Monday morning, so that area is done, and then we move on to phase 2 the following weekend. And it really keeps the ball rolling. And I think that, as you alluded to earlier, now more than ever, the renewal is going to be an important play. It's a great way to catch your breath as a tenant and say, see, maybe you need twice as much space than you currently have a couple years down the road. Maybe you need a little less. Maybe you're just perfect. But we're telling our clients is, by having us come in, giving you that fresh feel. It's a very comforting feel too, to walk in, especially in today's climate, to walk into nice, fresh space. And it really shows that you're doing something for your employees, that you really care. It also, I believe, will help with business continuity. It will help with the comfort of an employee coming back and knowing that they're home again, that they're not moving to a new office space in 6 months, finding a new route to get there. Maybe now they have to take another subway. Maybe they have to take a bus, a new deli. I know that sounds crazy, but it's New York City. We all feel comfortable in our areas. And by renewing your lease and staying put, I think will give you that breathing time to see what's best for you, your employees, and your company going forward.
Now, I can imagine the first response that many of people who are watching or listening are going to say is, but that's more out-of-pocket expenses. In a time when budgets are constrained, isn't this going to cost me more, Rich?
And the answer is, most of the time, the money's going to come from the landlord. Your broker will help you negotiate that. Now, maybe if you took 6 months more, no, of course not. But if you extended 3 years or so, And I think that that's about the right breathing time, 3 to 5 years, to really see where we're going to be with this new world we're in. Money will come from the landlord, tenant improvement money. They don't want to really do the work because it's very much hand-holding, and you want the person to feel comfortable. So the landlord would rather give the tenant the money to hire somebody like me to do the work. So
I've found that a lot of landlords will give TI dollars, but want to control the project. Why would they want to control the project?
Well, they would like to make sure that the money is getting used for what it's intended for, that the tenant's not pocketing money. They want you to improve their space. They want the building to look nice. They want to make sure that you're using quality labor. They want to make sure that whoever you're hiring has all the proper insurance, and it makes life a lot easier when you do that, which of course a company like ours does. But they don't want to get involved in overtime, packing, unpacking, picking out colors. We have designers that will come in and help our clients pick out the right colors and accents, and go shopping with them if necessary. We've done it all. A landlord doesn't want to do that kind of stuff.
Is there a markup that the landlord achieves by doing the work themselves?
Is there a savings? Probably.
Is there a savings by doing it through you rather than through the landlord?
Well, I think it's an aggravation savings. I think that from a cost standpoint, them doing it by themselves might save them some money, but it's not necessarily right for the tenant, because they're going to bring in 3 different subcontractors. They're going to want to do it during the week. They're going to put the tenant out of pocket for that week's time. You're going to pack up your belongings. A painter's going to come in, then a demo guy, then a furniture guy, then a carpet, and it's really tough. It's not that we're not going to cost the landlord any more money by us doing it, and it really makes it more seamless. And in my experience, the landlord is only too happy to have me do the work. There's so much coordination that goes on to pull this off, and we take all that off their plate. So I really don't get pushback.
Well, can you give me an example? Can you give me an example of a recent client you worked with, and how Distinctive Offices was able to help them refresh their space on a renewal?
Yeah, sure. We just completed a large project downtown. TB Alliance is the name of the firm, at 40 Wall Street, which is a Trump building, and they renewed their lease. We were brought in to help select finishes, everything from new cabinets for the kitchens to paint colors to wallpaper, some specialty flooring, new carpet. And in that particular situation, we did come in. It was a little unique. They were able to move out. This was done over the holidays, so they did take some time where we were able to do some during the week, some off hours. And again, we come in, they pack up all their contents. And we can pack contents if we have to, but most of the time the tenant wants to do that, and it's their personal things. We come in on a Friday afternoon, we label all of their furniture, we label all the boxes, we draw maps, we create maps of all the rooms, and then we proceed to move everything out into a holding room, maybe a large boardroom that we would use till the end. And we put the boxes and furniture that we can move in there. A lot of furniture stays in place, such as the workstations. We were able to jack those up. Once we did that, we come in, we demo all the material, all the carpeting, rather, I'm sorry. We'll demo the carpeting, and then we start our painting. And we get our painting done, and as soon as areas were done with painting, next morning, we start putting carpet in. As soon as we're done carpeting, we're vacuuming the floors, putting our furniture back. It's a process. When that was done, then we come in, we wipe down the desks, we put all the contents back in place. close the door, and we walk out of each and every office and hallway that we're done.
And back to work on the Monday.
On Monday morning, yes.
What is the biggest? What's the thing that you think tenants don't know about you that they should know, or what is the biggest surprise you find when speaking to tenants?
Sure. I think that I'm always surprised with that they don't run into what we do more often in the sense of hand-holding. We're somewhat of a morphed business. We're not just an individual subcontractor as a painter, an electrician, a plumber. We've morphed a couple subs together, subcontracting trades, I should say, together to create this niche. We're not a general contractor, so we're not hiring a bunch of different subcontractors. We're very hands-on. We will help select finishes. They're shocked at that. We'll be there every day packing for them. A typical general contractor, that's not what they do. Not knocking them or anything like that. That's just not part of their business. And they're always surprised. Like, you'll do that? Like, yes, we'll do that. And very often we hear this surprise. You make it sound like it's so easy, or everybody else, no, you can't do it this way. We've perfected a niche. That's really what we've done. And I'm proud of it that, we don't hear of a lot of competition, but that's what we hear all the time, that they don't know that this exists.
And how did you start this business?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
How did you start this business?
So I started originally as a floor covering contractor, subcontractor. And we sold and installed at that time mostly carpeting. Commercial carpeting was the biggest thing sold in the office market at the time. A lot of that work went through the general contractor. It's still a great way to work. I liked being more of a primary contractor. I didn't want to work through the general contractor and chase jobs and not have control of the finishes or the schedules. I a little bit of a control freak, I guess. So I pulled away from the general contracting community and I started focusing on the end user direct. What I found was that the end user direct, when they were moving, said, "We like you, call our general contractor and give him a price for the carpeting," which was all well and good, brought me back into not having that control that I was seeking. So I quickly changed gears and said, well, how about when you're not moving? Do you have an office that you want redone, a hallway, a boardroom? And I started to pick up some projects like that. And then a bunch of years ago, I was blessed to be awarded a project. It was about 12 floors of carpeting. And at that time, that's what we were selling. The office manager, who was amazing, but had 18 hats that she wore. And then on top of that, now she was going to be the project manager to have 12 floors recarpeted and repainted over weekends. And after the first 2 weekends, and it was somewhat of a debacle, I asked her, I said, would you mind if I just manage this process for you? Because there's just too many hands in this, and I'll speak to the mover, I'll speak to the painter, and obviously I'm doing the carpeting. And she let me do it. Now, it wasn't going to cost her anything, so why not? And it went unbelievably smooth. And after that was done, I had a business partner at the time, which was parted ways since. We decided this is a great market. Why don't we look into doing this as our full-time business? And that's where this niche of refreshing occupied office space really started from. Was this one project that showed us you needed somebody to control these three items: furniture, painting, and carpeting, which is the primary focus of our company.
Any dirty little secrets about the carpeting industry or the painting industry that you wish, if you were as a tenant, you wish you knew that you probably wouldn't know?
That's a good question. I have to think about that one for half a second. I don't know if there's dirty little secrets. I think that...
Or hacks. How about a better question? Are there any hacks or things to know about carpeting or painting that if you're not in the industry, you wouldn't know?
Uh, I think that it's not knowing about the labor. The material manufacturers are very open, and warranties, and easy to track product, and pricing. It's easy. Labor is a whole nother story, and to have approved certified labor is something that I would be asking. I would want references from the manufacturers specifically. A lot of times you get references. If you ask anybody for a reference, they're going to give you their best references. But the manufacturers are going to be honest because it's their product. And if it's not, especially when it comes to carpeting, if it's not installed or prepped properly, the right adhesive used, you can have a lot of failure. And it's really, my advice would be for a client, to reach out to the manufacturer. And they could do it through the installation company, through us, and connect, because the manufacturer is going to be honest, because it's really, the buck stops with them as far as the floor being right.
What's the number that people should be asking for when doing renewals? They should be asking for TI dollars for renewal of their space.
Sure. It runs the gamut, especially in a town like New York City, where Class A, Class B, C buildings, union, non-union labor, which definitely throws the number all over the place. When specifically carpeting and painting, you're probably looking at $10 to $15 a square foot, and that would cover the demo, the installation, the material. I'm talking mid-range, not real high-end stuff. I would be asking, if I was, and I am a tenant, if I'm asking my landlord, I would be shooting for $20 a square foot, because I think it's a great time to, put a little pop into your wow areas, your reception area, your pantry, boardroom. Those are the areas that I like to focus on to give the wow factor for, the employee, for the client. And so $20 is probably the number I would say.
For a client who is handling the renewal process for the first time, I would imagine you have some words of wisdom for them as they embark on that process. What would you say to them so that they can be most successful in that renewal negotiation?
Well, this is a very honest answer, and it's not kissing up to an interviewer. Hire a broker. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I have seen really some bad negotiating done by tenants, because in my experience, and this is me from the outside looking in, without a broker, the landlord has you. They know you're not moving. They know you don't want to go anywhere, and they're going to be less likely to give you the right TI money or the right deal to stay. Working with a broker, the landlord doesn't necessarily know that. I believe, in what I've seen from the TI money that brokers have gotten, are able to get a lot more, a better deal than an individual. That would be my first answer to you. And
so you say you've seen some bad negotiating over your days. So can you share some of those stories?
Yeah, sure. I've seen where the tenant was unable to get any money at all because the landlord knew that they weren't going anywhere, and why bother? They were not able to have the freedom to choose the contractor they wanted to do the work. They were relegated to use the landlord. And when you use the landlord to refresh your space, they tend to not use the top of the line material and products. I've never seen them allow the tenant to have the work done off hours, which means you're being put out of business, so you're losing productivity. Where when a real estate broker is involved, the real estate broker seems to be able to get that more. We are able to talk to the broker ahead of time and help them and remind them that, IT equipment has to be disconnected, reconnected, relocated. There's a big expense that if you're dealing with your landlord on your own, you don't get any of that. And I've seen that happen. I've seen where their pantries are just falling apart. And, we talk to them and we give them prices, and they're, it's incredible sticker shock to say the least, because it's coming all out of their pocket. And when there's broker involved, it can be avoided. It's that simple.
Rich, will you come in and help assess what it will cost to refresh space prior to that negotiation with the landlord?
Every day of the week, we are always talking to tenants through brokers before they even know what they want to do. We ask them all the time, let us come in. It doesn't cost anything. It's a couple hours of my time, but it's a well worthwhile investment for my organization to come in. We'll assess the floor. We'll see what needs to be done and come up with a good budget, a realistic budget that you can take to the landlord if need be, or keep in your back pocket when you're negotiating. But we're going to tell you really what it's going to cost. And again, I go back to when we talk product, I always like to give mid-range pricing because I think it's a realistic way to go, as opposed to the very low end or the very high end and scare anybody one way or another. But yes, we do that all the time and welcome that opportunity.
A message to tenants as they're sitting there now with a lease expiring in the next 6 to 12 months. What would your message be?
My message would be, call your broker, start talking about renewing your lease now. I think that 3 to 5 years is the range for renewal. I think that a 1-year renewal does nothing for you as a business owner to really catch your breath, catch the company's breath, and see what's going on in this climate due to COVID. I think that 3 years at a minimum gives you that time to get your people back, get your business up and running again, make everybody feel comfortable, clients, employees, yourself, which is very important. A year and a half into it, you'll start either looking for your next move or maybe expansion within your building, whatever the case is. I think that 3 to 5 years is the way to go, and I would do it sooner than later, in my opinion.
And 3 years you've seen is enough time to be able to get between PI dollars from the landlord or tenant improvement dollars.
I did, under normal circumstances, Greg, yes, but not a lot of money, right? It's a shorter term lease. In today's climate, I have to believe that landlords are going to want you not to move. If they can get you for 3 more years to stay and maybe stabilize your business, the economy, whatever the case may be, I think that their gut is, we have a captive audience. Maybe in 2.5 years, we could renegotiate a longer term or an expansion in the building. So yes, I do believe that you'll be able to get more money than normal for a 3-year lease.
Awesome. This is really helpful, Rich. So let's turn, make a 90-degree turn here and talk about another fun topic, which Rich, you and I like to talk about, which is food. You and I have had more than a few nice meals together in New York.
Yes,
You're based in New Jersey now, and I'm sure you're coming into the office from time to time.
Yep.
What do you to support small businesses in New York City? What are the restaurants that you love to go to in New York that maybe people don't know about? Your spots, your secret little gems.
Good question. The name is escaping me right now. There's a great Cuban takeout. I want to say Sarah's, but my assistant orders all the time. But I do love Cuban food, and they as of last week, they had not opened yet. We went by and didn't see it open. But
Where's it located?
on 6th Avenue between 39th and 40th, I believe it is. And enjoy that food immensely. Will tell you this, I personally am dying to sit inside a restaurant. I can't wait. I have eaten outside a little bit, and that's nice. But I'm really looking forward to a relaxed sit-down meal with somebody.
And where would that be? And what would that meal be?
It would probably be close to home in New Jersey, and it's an Italian restaurant called Taramina's, and it's extremely authentic. The chef and owner is from Sicily. The food is delicious, and I can't wait to go back there, have a nice glass of wine, and my favorite
dish. What's the dish you order there?
My favorite meal is braciole, and
for the uninitiated, what is braciole?
It's rolled up pork with there's cheese and there's spinach and there's breadcrumbs, and just melts in your mouth, and delicious stuff.
Fantastic.
I'll take you there one day.
I would love to go. Well, Rich, I really want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
Thanks for having me.
As you mentioned, it's a part of the market that a lot of folks don't know exists, and part of my goal of having you on was to educate folks about something that I think makes a lot of sense today. One, for tenants who are trying to be competitive, sublease their space, and two, for tenants who don't have enough visibility to commit to a long-term lease right now. So with the idea of renewing, how do you make your space fresh, excited for your employees back? So thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
And joining us on Conversations with Cohen. I'm your host, Greg Cohen. This is Rich Colucci of Distinctive Offices, and we'll see you next time.
Be well. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rich.